Promises we can keep. And there are various ways of doing that. One is we could raise taxes on people. That's not the way. Corporations are people, my friend. Corporations are people, my friend.
Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on... Of course they are.
Corporations are people. It seems absurd when you first hear it. After all, a corporation is not a physical thing. You can't touch a corporation or smell a corporation or see a corporation. So why is a corporation considered a person?
What is a corporation?
It's funny that I've taught in a business school for as long as I have without ever having been asked. So pointedly, it's a group of individuals working together to serve a variety of objectives.
You start with a group of people who want to invest their money in a company. Then these people apply for a charter as a corporation. This government issues a charter to that corporation. Now that corporation operates legally as an individual person. It is not a group of people. It is under the law a legal person.
It is mysterious how a flock of birds or a school of fish move as one with such grace and coordination, as if there's one brain behind them all, or an invisible force at play. An explanation may be found in emergence, a science that tries to explain complex patterns and behavior that arise in the world around us.
So at the bottom we have these things that are following their own sets of rules, often fairly simple. One is to go in the same direction as the other guys. Another is don't get too close, but don't get too far from my neighbors. What we see is a pattern emerging from the bottom up.
And so it came to be called emergent complexity, or simply emergence. Of course, different creatures have different rules, but whether ants, or wildebeest, or this slime mold,
the behavior emerges from the actions that are controlled by the rules. And behavior of the whole is more than the sum of the parts. And that's the flag for emergence. And behavior of the whole is more than the sum of the parts.
And behavior of the whole is more than the sum of the parts.
Corporations are artificial creations. You might say they're monsters trying to devour as much profit as possible at anyone's expense.
Imperial Steel Incorporated has many of the legal rights of a person. It can buy and sell property. It can borrow money. It can sue in court and be sued. It carries on a business. Imperial Steel, along with thousands of other legal persons, is a part of our daily living. It is a member of our society.
Corporations were given the rights of immortal persons, but then special kinds of persons, persons who have no moral conscience. These are a special kind of persons which are designed by law to be concerned only for their stockholders and not, say, what are sometimes called their stakeholders, like the community or the workforce or whatever.
They're following their own sets of rules, often fairly simple.
The great problem of having corporate citizens is that they aren't like the rest of us. As Baron Thurlow in England is supposed to have said, they have no soul to save and they have no body to incarcerate.
Corporations are artificial creations. Artificial creations.
Anything I know that exhibits emergence involves a lot of, we might call them agents, a lot of individuals or parts. We could call them parts.
A sports team. Some of us are blocking and tackling, some of us are running the ball, some of us are throwing the ball, but we all have a common purpose, which is to succeed as an organization.
A corporation is like a family unit. people in a corporation work together for a common end.
One of the questions that comes up periodically is to what extent could a corporation be considered to be psychopathic? And if we look at a corporation as a legal person, that it may not be that difficult to actually draw the transition between psychopathy in the individual to psychopathy in a corporation. We can go through the characteristics that define this particular disorder one by one and see how they might apply to corporations. They would have all the characteristics. And in fact, in many respects, a corporation of that sort is the prototypical psychopath.
Dr. Frankenstein's creation has overwhelmed and overpowered him, as the corporate form has done with us.
Wow! So, a corporation is considered a person because it acts like a distinct, intelligent, and individual organism made up of smaller organisms, an entity. The truth is that when you think about it, humans are much the same. Each one of us is made of single cells, all specializing in certain tasks and working together to survive. Heart cells, skin cells, brain cells, all networked together, making a human being as a whole. A human being that is trillions of times more powerful, more intelligent, and longer lived than any single cell in our body. The crazy part is that if you destroy any single cell in a person's body, no matter which cell it is, we wouldn't even notice. We just go on. In fact, every few years, every cell in our body is replaced, but we remain. This idea of a superorganism made from smaller, networked organisms is already pervasive in our society.
Can't be.
Our last working mine ran dry 3 years ago.
Then how do we pay for anything?
The Crown owes the Iron Bank of Bravos a tremendous amount of money.
How much?
A tremendous amount.
There must be someone at the Iron Bank you can speak to, come to some arrangement.
The Iron Bank is the Iron Bank. There is no someone.
But someone does work there. It is comprised of people.
And a temple is comprised of stones. One stone crumbles and another takes its place. And the temple holds its form for 1,000 years or more.
So, we have created mega corporations that span the globe. Super, man-made organisms that must obey their programming to survive and seek profit. This programming which comes in the way of charters and laws. So, in the end, I guess you could say that corporations are very real. It's hard to see a corporation, or touch a corporation, or smell a corporation, because we are just small individual men, like walking through trees and not being able to understand that it is a forest. But that forest is real and physical, and so are corporations. But corporations are made out of men, and just like a human is trillions of times larger, stronger, more intelligent, and longer lived than any cell in his body. These mega corporations are larger, stronger, and more intelligent than any single man could ever be. And while these corporations may have twisted our courts so that they could be legal persons, they are certainly not human. they are made of humans. But they exhibit their own emergent behavior, making decisions and doing things that no man would ever do. Have you ever wondered how CEOs could be so foolish and simple as to pollute their own oceans and destroy the very world they live in? The truth is that we have been giving CEOs too much credit. If all of the CEOs on Earth disappeared tomorrow, they would be replaced the next day, and the corporations would go on. They are just cells in the corporate entity, replaced in a moment if they do not turn a profit. And the corporations are self-aware, replacing their components with the kinds of people who would do such immoral things, and even replace